Today we are going over our pour over methods. We've got 3 different devices to use today. First one, we've got our V60. We've also got our 6-cup Chemex. And then we've also got our Hario Fretta. One thing to note as well is that they are all very easy to use at home. So with your V60, you've got your plastic, you've also got your ceramic and your copper. Those different materials are just going to affect the heat of the brew and just like may affect a little bit of the flavors coming through as well. And then with your Chemex, you've actually got the same kind of glass material, which is really good for ensuring that there's clarity. Now with all 3 of these, you're going to need filters. There is a little bit of a difference between your V60 filters and your Chemex filters. These ones are paper filters, whereas these ones are double bonded, and these will actually stop a lot of the oils from coming through in your brew. So what that means is that with your V60, you might get a little bit of a more full-bodied, oily flavor. Whereas with your Chemex, it's gonna be a lot more clarity, it's gonna be a lot more smooth. First step for all of these is you wanna get your filters ready and all of your devices. Just like so. With your Chemex filter, they're a little bit bigger and they're square. What you're gonna look for is grabbing 3 layers like that, opening it up, and then the thickest side is gonna go to the spout where you're pouring from. So, opening it up like this, inserting it in like so, and then your filters are ready to go. Now with all of these devices, you're gonna wanna give them a little rinse with hot water as well, just to warm up the devices and get rid of any papery kind of taste that comes through in the filters. So we're gonna do that step now. So just lightly pouring over the top. And same thing with your Chemex, just making sure you're rinsing all of the filter. And then lastly with the Hario Fretta as well. Once you've done that and you've wet your filters and you've warmed up your brewing devices, just give them a little empty and then you're ready to start your brewing process. Now that we've rinsed out our brewing devices, now it's time to measure out our coffee. So we're using our Colombian light roast today. We're gonna have different measurements for each device. So starting off with the V60, we're looking for about 15 to 20 grams. And the grind you want is a medium coarse grind, similar to like table salt or a 5.7 on your Ditting grinder. And then just leveling that over your paper filter. And just make sure it's nice and even as well. And yeah, about 50 grams or so for your 6-cup Chemex. Same as your V60, just kind of leveling it over the top, nice and evenly. And then for our last one, the Hario Fretta, we're going to do about 30 grams. And making sure it's nice and level. Now that you've got your coffee ground prepped and you've got your filters ready, now it's time to start pouring your water over your coffee. Now when you're doing your pouring, first step you're going to do is a 3-stage pour. The first thing you want to do is do a light little swirl around. And then just let your coffee sit for just for a minute, just to bloom. Just let your gases release from the grind. We'll do the same thing with the Chemex. So with your Chemex, you do want to let it bloom as well, but you're going to do slightly slower pours during the process. Same kind of process with your Hario Fretta, except this time you're going to get your ice. Chuck that in first. This one is very good for making your iced brews, and placing that back over the top. And then same thing again. Slightly swirling around the grind just to let that coffee bloom. While that one's blooming over here, we'll come back to this one. Just gonna do our second pour, same thing again, just swirling around, slowly coming outwards and then back in. And then just stopping about halfway just to let the water run through. Coming back to our Chemex, we're gonna do the same kind of thing. Again, just slower laps around. In terms of timing, you wanna spend about 1 second per lap around as you're swirling. Then coming back over to the Hario Fretta, same thing. Swirling around and slowly moving outward. And then we'll do our last pour for our V60. Slowly moving in and out, swirling your jug nice and gently. It's really important that you pour like this as you're doing your pour overs, just so that the water runs nice and evenly through the brew and to prevent any channeling coming through as well. And then continuing our pour for the Chemex, the last stage. Slow, gentle laps around the grind. In terms of water amount you're using, you just want to follow a 1:15 ratio for your V60. For your Chemex, it's going to be about a 1:8 ratio. And then last stage of the pour for your Hario Fretta as well. And then you're just letting them run through until they're brewed. Now, the V60 and the Chemex are gonna give you a nice clarity of flavor, nice clean flavor as well. And then in terms of preference, it's really just dependent on the kind of flavors you want. So with your V60 again, it's gonna have a little bit more of a full-bodied kind of flavor, whereas your Chemex allows the actual brew to pick up less oils due to like the double bonded filter. And so you're gonna end up with a much smoother kind of flavor from that. And then your Hario Fretta, that's just gonna be really good for your ice drinks with a similar kind of flavor profile to your V60, but the device just allows you to have that ice in the middle there, just to cool it down right from the start.